talking. Let's see if I can change the thumbnail. Oh, isn't that cool? I can change the filters. Alright. I don't know. Should I leave it in black and white, ladies and gentlemen? The cameraman on trial. It's pretty cool. But we'll put it back to normal. That is neat. See, ladies and gentlemen, I got some new equipment, and here on the YouTube they have all these different features now than the previous equipment I used had, and so that's pretty cool. So give it a few more seconds, maybe a minute or so. Hopefully get some people in here. I don't want to just start talking to a bunch of zeros now, because the counter says 0 people, 0 likes. So let's see if I can get in a nice position where I'll have the court in frame. There we go. Let's see. Right here. There we go. Have the courthouse in the background. Let's see, wait for some more people to show up. Give it a minute or so. We'll let everybody know what's going on. So, alright, we got one person. Maybe we'll get one more, but I think maybe have to wait a little bit longer. Let's see. Oh, and they're gone. So let's see, we'll give it here a minute. I'll give it, we're at 1 minute 40 seconds. I'll give it 20 more seconds and I'll start. Trying to hopefully get some people a chance to get in here, not miss anything. You know, get the live stream started, let the notifications go out. Those who have turned on the bell, let the notifications go out. Sometimes, you know, it takes a minute to go through the system. So, alright, go ahead and start talking. We're at 2 minutes now. Hey everybody, it's the cameraman here. I'm standing right now outside the Butte County Courthouse. Gonna go back into the People versus Coleman today. That is also trial continuing. But today I was on calendar for a matter involving an inmate here at the Butte County Jail that was released. And he's my co-defendant, and they can't find him. And they haven't been able to find him, and I don't think they ever will find him. And me, for the one sole count of the unlawful use of food stamps. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the cameraman has been charged with the unlawful uses of food stamps. The unlawful usage of food stamps, I should say. And that is the Welfare and Institutions Code section. And it is a misdemeanor. And this was filed back last year in June, so this has almost been going on for a year now, this case. Wasn't arrested, just got a little piece of paper in the mail saying, hey, you need to come to court now because you're accused of doing something wrong and we need money to rectify it, essentially. You know, can't just pay to make this go away. No, we got to pay with that pound of flesh. And what I mean, ladies and gentlemen, by money to rectify it is, well, you know, we got to spend money, all this money to make this problem go away, you know, on lawyers, court, all this. And I said, no, thank you. I'm going to represent myself and save a boatload of money on lawyer fees. And that's the other problem, ladies and gentlemen. The public defenders, I want to say 80% of them all hate me because I expose the fact that they do nothing for their clients. So getting an attorney to represent me is going to be kind of hard, considering that they all, for a lack of a better word, hate me. So there's a problem right there. And two, you know, I've been in this court for going on 4 years, ladies and gentlemen, and I've observed quite enough to feel that I can confidently handle this case on my own, representing myself in a pro per status. So with that being said, let's get into the actual meat of the issue without violating my Fifth Amendment right in self-incrimination, me giving that up before this case is said and done. First off, let's just start with the fact that trial has been set. I don't want to continue it any further. The people needed some more time. I originally wanted to set this matter for June of this year, coming up here in a few months, but here at the Butte County Courthouse, when they were considering that request, the commissioner told me, well, there's 34 other matters set for trial on that same day. Whether or not they all get confirmed, that's a different story. But likelihood of me considering it being a misdemeanor, felonies take priority. I'm more than likely not going to be confirmed. So the trial date now has been officially set for August 5th at 8:30 in the morning. That is when the jury selection is going to begin in this case. So feel free to come on down to the Butte County Courthouse. I'll be probably putting up a video, a more detailed video by then, explaining, the details, what courtroom, all that, everything you're gonna need to know. To come on down and sit in on the People versus the Cameraman. But basically, ladies and gentlemen, this trial involves, what boils down to is there's a difference between what is policy and what is the law, such as the Penal Code, the Welfare and Institutions Code, which I'm being charged with. Not the Penal Code, but the Welfare and Institutions Code, which also carries applicable, offenses such as misdemeanors, felonies. Even though it's not the Penal Code, it's still a code that carries, infractions, misdemeanors, and felonies. And this all revolves around an inmate here and his property. And without getting into too much of the detail, because remember, ladies and gentlemen, anything you say and do can and will be used against you. And I'm sure the DA is going to watch this at some point, whether it's actually right now, live as it's happening, or 2 months from now, or a week from now, or an hour from now, whenever I stop the stream. And he's going to try and use anything I say against me. So it's not that I don't want to tell you anything, ladies and gentlemen. I just can't at this point, because he's going to try and spin a narrative. And how should I put this? Try and meet his burden of proof, which is the big word they all like to throw around in court is, did I meet my burden of proof? Did I meet my burden of proof? Now find him guilty. So, for lack of a better word, yes, he may be able to meet his burden of proof if I say too much. But let's just go back to what I was saying about how it goes down to, it is a matter of policy versus law. And the best way I can sum this case up, ladies and gentlemen, without giving up my Fifth Amendment right to self-incrimination and having anything I say here used potentially against me later on, is this case boils down to, let's put it this way. All of you and some of my American viewers, I don't know how many aren't, but those who are here in America, we have a big store that you can buy a lot of stuff in bulk called Costco. And that store is a store that you can only shop in if you have a membership card. So you pay your $50 or $60 to become a member, and you renew that every year. And they give you a little card that you present when you check out to show that, hey, I'm a member here, and I'm not just some Joe Schmo off the street taking advantage of your deals as not being part of the membership club, if you will. So let's say, I get a Costco membership card, and that card is for me, and for me only to use. And I say, oh, here, Joe Blow, here's my Costco card. Go to the store and buy groceries with it. Okay? And he goes to check out, and they see on the facial recognition software, hey, this is Joe Blow. That isn't the cameraman. Why is Joe Blow using cameraman's card to buy groceries? And so they call the cops on him, and he's arrested for using my membership card and not being me, because it's against Costco's policy. Well, we all know, this is a hypothetical, but we all know, ladies and gentlemen, it's not against the law to not be a member of Costco and use someone else's Costco membership card. That's I'm pretty sure, a violation of their policy, their store policy, but there's nowhere listed in the Penal Code or law that if that card holder gives that person permission to go buy groceries with their card, that at Costco the police get to show up and arrest them for policy violations, because it's not a law, it's policy. And that's pretty much what this tongue-tied, ladies and gentlemen, what this food stamp case boils down to, is that there's a difference between policy, CalFresh's rules, their policy, and what the actual Welfare and Institutions Code law is. And so, without saying much more, that's what this case boils down to. A battle of policy versus law, and trying to convince people that because there may be a violation of policy, that means there's a crime committed. And that's not necessarily so. Because if that were the case, for some of my longtime viewers, you would know that the former police chief of Anaheim, Raul Casada, he committed time card fraud. And the only reason he wasn't charged, because, fraud is fraud. If you go and say you worked and you didn't show up to work and you got paid for those days you didn't work, that's fraud. But the reason why he wasn't charged criminally is because Anaheim Police Department policy at the time didn't say that it was against the rules to commit time card fraud. Now the policy has changed to reflect that. So some may argue, oh, well, now that's a crime. Well, yeah, it's a crime in general because theft is theft. There doesn't need to be a policy stating that, hey, you can't cheat time card fraud and get paid for that and defraud us out of money without there being a policy. But we all know cops, ladies and gentlemen. They operate on a completely different set of rules, separate from what you and I are expected to be upheld to. So, which is the same thing. Policy, there was no policy, so that's why he did it. Now there's policy, now you can't commit time card fraud. But there was a crime there. There was a theft of money from someone that didn't authorize that to be paid, because under false pretenses, they thought it was earned when it wasn't. This situation is allowed usage. There was no theft, there was no deceit. It was all, everybody knew, in a sense, what was going on here. And the ones who also knew was the Butte County District Attorneys. Let me get the camera, which are right up there in that office right behind me. They knew because they heard everything on the jail recorded phone call. And they, for lack of a better word, ladies and gentlemen, are, in my opinion, they're co-conspirators to this so-called unauthorized usage of food stamps. So, in my opinion, they're a co-conspirator because they heard everything and allowed it to happen. And they did nothing other than wait until the defendant, one of my co-defendants, so yeah, one of the other defendants, the defendant be released from the Butte County Jail, become, because he's a homeless man, ladies and gentlemen, he's a homeless man on the streets, become released from the Butte County Jail. I give him his property back after he gets out, because he called me from Reading and said, hey, can you mail me my property you picked up for me at the jail? Sure, no problem. And then 2 weeks later or a week later, I get a notice in the mail saying, hey, we're charging you with this crime. You have to appear to court now. And throughout this case, ladies and gentlemen, my co-defendant is nowhere to be found. So if anybody knows Maurice Marshman or finds Maurice Marshman, let him know he has a warrant out for his arrest. I don't even think he knows he has a warrant out for his arrest, ladies and gentlemen, because he's a homeless man. I went to his last known address after he got out, and the halfway house guy said he hadn't been there for like a week and a half, and he's gone. So maybe he don't even know. So if any of my viewers out there, you come across Maurice Marshman, let me know and let him know. He needs to get a hold of the cameraman, because he's got a bench warrant out of Butte County Superior Court. So that about pretty much covers it, ladies and gentlemen. I've been out here for about 15 minutes now, and I need to get back into the trial. I'm not missing too much. I mean, it is the expert testimony from the DOJ in the Coleman trial, but I can get the recap later. I mean, it's pretty much common, it's formality questions, but I mean, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to sit there and listen to some of this stuff about when I can update you about my case, when all they're in there talking about is, well, you're an expert. How does a bullet hole get created? Oh, when a bullet goes through an object. what did you do with this evidence when you found it? Oh, I put it in an evidence baggie. You know, ladies and gentlemen, basic common stuff that everybody should know, but because it's the trial, they have to explain this to the jury. So it's, not missing too much of the juicy details. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I'm going to get back in there now and hopefully get some meat on my plate, if you will. We had about three, I think our highest was 3 people. So hopefully going to start posting more, getting that viewership going again, the algorithm, when you drop off, it's kind of hard to get back in there, but hopefully you'll start seeing me more in your feed. And for those who subscribe, make sure to keep that bell on, notified for when live streams like this happen. And thanks again for tuning in. This is the cameraman. I'm reporting live here in Oroville outside the Butte County Courthouse.